What's going on, guys? My name is Sam,
I'm Sadie.
and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about a lot of personal stuff, and I don't really know what else, but
Yeah, just kind of explaining where we've been, what's been going on with our baby.
a feather on your arm.
Yeah, this is a feather couch. We're kind of switching up the layout because it makes it easier for us to not have to edit so much stuff. So we're
Mhm.
kind of keeping it real casual. And yeah, there's probably going to be a lot of bumps in the road. So just kind of,
Bear with us.
yeah, bear with us.
I was thinking that we were going to name this episode something to do with the reason that our son is going to be born early.
Mm-hmm.
She might think that's not a good idea, but I think that that would be a good way to kind of clue you guys in on what we're going to talk about without revealing too much. But yeah, so it's been legitimately like 2 months
Yeah, like
since we've recorded.
you can tell that things have changed for me. It has been like 2 months. We feel terrible, but a lot's been going on with the baby. We're going to talk about that today. We were in the process of moving, so that was so crazy. And yeah, just trying to figure out what to record, finding time to record because things have just been wild. So I guess without further ado, do you want to kind of jump into what's going on with the baby, or do you want me to jump into that?
Yeah, I can kind of jump into it. So in case you guys have not watched our last video, you guys had like 2 months to watch it, so there's really no excuse at this point. But if for some reason this is like your first time watching us, so we are pregnant with a little boy, and Sadie is due
The first week of
the first
August,
week of
yeah.
August, but we found out recently that he has something called hydronephrosis, where basically his kidneys have expanded a lot. And we don't know if it's because there's some kind of blockage as far as like passing urine,
Mm-hmm.
um, or what that could be. But his kidneys keep on expanding. And if you don't know anything about kidneys, they don't ever shrink back down.
The tissue
The
doesn't. The
tissue
tissue doesn't
doesn't.
thicken back up.
Yeah.
And so every ultrasound we've gone to, we had to get moved to high risk, and now we're talking to urologist, and then soon we're going to be talking to nephrologist when he's born. But basically, once we got switched to high risk, we're being monitored like every week, and we're going to our specialist. And our specialist noticed that it just seemed to get super bad. His kidneys, they're severe in both of his kidneys, which is not good to have that level of expansion and stretching in both of your kidneys.
Mhm.
And then he also is having some ureter dilation too. His bladder is now distended, and so the doctor is talking about delivering the baby early, which that would be right now I'm 35 weeks, so it could be anywhere between now and yeah, like 3 weeks from now probably.
Yeah, which is really, really surreal to us. Like, we're super excited to meet him, obviously, but it's made something that was going to be just like such a joyous,
Mhm.
like exciting time, something that's also really like scary because, I just they've even talked about that he might need to be like whisked away like as soon as he's
Mhm.
born and basically be in like legitimately another tower of this hospital. It's a big hospital.
Mhm.
And it would be to where I was the only one that could go and see him. And I mean, it
Mhm.
legitimately like brings tears to my eyes when I think about him not being able to be with Sadie
Yeah.
when he's first born and
Yeah.
everything. Like that absolutely tears me apart.
Yeah, it seems like there's going to be a NICU stay once he's born, and then potentially surgeries. So, we're obviously telling you guys to update you on where we've been, but also to just please be praying for our family and praying for the baby that there would be a miracle and that even if there is some sort of obstruction that there's no long-term kidney damage. I think that that's what we've been so upset about.
Yeah.
But really have a lot of people praying.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, because we know that he's not going to remember any of this.
but we will.
Well, we will. I mean, that's definitely true. But my
Yeah.
my thing is, I want him to have a normal childhood. I want, because like my brother, for example, and I tell Sadie this all the time, but like he had to have a feeding tube when he was really little. He had this really bad virus, and then he also had a really hard time with like swallowing. He had something wrong with it, like his throat.
Mhm.
And so he had to have all these different really unpleasant things. I know my mom had to legitimately like thread, she had to put in the feeding tube for some reason. I can't remember why,
Mhm.
but it was just really hard. And obviously, my brother doesn't have any recollection of that, and he lives a totally normal life now.
Mhm.
Um, and I just want that for our son. I want him to not even remember any of this stuff going on with his kidneys, but there's a chance, that he could maybe need like a transplant down the line,
Mhm.
or something like that. And like I've mentally prepared myself for like, if that needs to happen, like I'm gonna, see if like my kidneys are like
Mhm.
viable.
Well, that'd have to be way down the road because your kidneys are too big.
Oh, well, yeah. I don't know. What age does it have to be
I don't
before
know.
you can actually do
I don't
that?
know. I've not even let
I'm
myself
ready.
that
My
far
kidneys
ahead.
are my kidneys are ready.
Your kidney would just take up his whole body.
I really would.
Yeah, they don't do surgeries on little ones for a
Yeah.
while, so they just try to have some temporary fixes.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, how would you say you've handled everything mentally or spiritually? Because
Yeah.
that's another aspect we can go into. We're going to talk about some other things as well,
Yeah.
but just kind of give you guys our life update
Yeah.
first.
Well, I mean, this is the big
Mhm.
thing for sure. As far as mentally, I think that I'm such a productive person, such a like busy person that I try not to really focus on it too much, because if I focus too long on things that I really have no control over, it really it just destroys me, and I'm gonna lose sleep over it. So I've just been really digging into work and like how I'm going to best provide for everybody and make sure that any kind of medical bills and anything like that aren't a problem.
Mhm.
I mean, that's all that I really know how to do. When I do stop and think about it, I mean, that's definitely really hard. And me and Sadie had a moment the other day when we were staying up late, kind of
Couldn't
uh,
sleep. I was in too much pain.
reading and watching some stuff on it. And there are times that it just really hits you that like, wow,
Mhm.
this could potentially be really serious. And I think that maybe kind of arrogantly, I thought that you and I weren't going to have a kid that had,
Any
health
issues?
issues,
Mhm.
because, I mean, we're for the most part real healthy and
Mhm.
fit and everything. But, I think that God obviously has a reason for this. And I think that it could be a tremendous testimony both for us and maybe for one day. But yeah, I'm uh I'm doing
You
okay.
name dropped. We're
Oh,
gonna bleep it out.
yeah. She pokes me. That's one thing you guys don't know about
Sorry,
her. This
okay, it's
makes me
like
so mad. So I was like literally
you can't
in
name
my,
drop
yeah,
yet.
but we're gonna blank it out.
Poked all the way in as far.
Yeah, that hurt.
You didn't acknowledge it at all.
I know, because I was trying to stay in my thought. I felt like Joe Biden for a minute. I was
Oh
just
my goodness, that's
like,
a whole other topic. Oh my
for a
goodness.
second. But yeah, so we'll be doing stuff out in public, and if she feels like I've talked for too long, she will just
Yes, I
like
have social
she will
anxiety.
pinch me.
I have social anxiety to like the high heavens. In
I
Sunday
know.
school class, if Sam answers too many questions, I poke his like I'm gonna give
I
someone else a
legitimately
chance to
operate
talk.
in fear like half the time. Like say like, okay, I'm totally not afraid of public speaking,
But I
but
make him
I'm
scared.
afraid of speaking in front of her because I know that
I get
she's
so
like
nervous. I get
she's
so
over there
nervous.
freaked out. She's just a bundle of
I
nerves.
am. It really is like my worst fear. And then here we are, like talking on YouTube. But if I had to speak in front of all of our subscribers in real life, I would not probably.
Yeah,
I would
I
just
know.
die. I
I was
really would
thinking
just
I
die.
was thinking about that like just a minute ago. Like
Can you
it's really
imagine?
ironic that like we go to church or go to Sunday school
And I'm like as
and
quiet as can be.
and then we're like, let's hop on YouTube and let's like talk to thousands of people. It's just kind of funny.
Yeah, that is really very ironic. I think that God does use your weaknesses
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
his purpose. I really do believe that because I have always been the shyest person ever.
Hmm.
I've come out of my shell a lot, but still, if you put me in front of a crowd to talk in front of, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I thrive in small little crowds. I don't know why we're talking about this. I think it's just because I poked his leg.
It
But
is
that's really
because you
funny.
poked my leg, but it reminds me of the story of Moses and how he had the stuttering problem, and like Gideon was so terrified of what was going on outside that like he was threshing wheat underground. Like everybody, like I saw somebody that said you never do that underground. Like he was so terrified, he was just doing all sorts of stuff, like
Yeah.
stupid stuff, and God was like, go tear down their idols and go, do all this different stuff, and it ended up working out. But
Well, you also were talking in Sunday school to the table about David and I guess his wife who like got
yeah,
embarrassed of him dancing.
Michael, I think.
That's me. I just get embarrassed if you do too many
I just
things.
have to
I get
know that
so
if I
shy. Oh my
ever
goodness.
get out on the streets and dance for the Lord, that you're going to be
It's
ashamed of me.
I will not be ashamed. That makes me sound horrible. I will be like not watching.
Well, I'm not
It's
Pentecostal, so I
just
don't think you have anything to worry about
yeah.
with me getting out on the streets and dancing anytime soon.
But
I'm
yeah, what
very
else do you
not
want to
a
talk
dancer.
about in the video? Because I know that we were kind of going to go into the future of the channel, kind of where we're at there.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, we like the more chill settings right now because that's the easiest thing for us in the season of life. We don't want to fully transform our content to where it's like family content or something like that because I think that we want to talk about the deep stuff.
Hmm.
Now we could talk about family topics as well, what we're learning as new parents. I know that a lot of people too want to hear um, just kind of other faith based topics too, which I think will be super nice that we kind of talk about the relationships like we usually do, and then also branch out and not just kind of keep ourselves in a little box, you know?
Pigeonholed.
I was gonna say that,
Pigeonholed.
but I was like, is that what that means? I don't want to
That
embarrass
is what that
myself.
means. It's not some kind of euphemism for some weird thing. No.
Yeah, I have been getting my words really messed up, and so I'm not going to give an example of what happened yesterday, but I totally messed up my words. I just do it all the time now.
Yeah, it does happen pretty frequently, so I can't
When I
like.
said that person had that condition, I asked if they had the I asked if they had the condition.
Oh, yeah. I think it was something to do with asbestos or something.
Yeah. They had
That was pretty
asbestos.
interesting. That one mental condition, asbestos.
Yeah, I have not been it mentally. But anyway, going back to our topic, you guys have to bear with me.
Yeah.
Um,
I think this is something that's really been on my mind that I think that the Lord has placed on my heart for a while, and I don't know if anybody is really interested to hear this. But this is something that I feel like the Lord has placed on my heart. Basically, I own my own business and I do junk removal. And
mhm,
so I have hours and hours and hours on the road to just sit
mhm.
and think about all sorts of things. Think about, all the stupid things that I've ever done. Think about all the things that are coming up in the future that I'm dreading, like all those different things. And I just realized, like, how like intrusive thoughts go, where like you're just driving on the highway and you're like, what if I
Yeah,
just hit somebody?
yeah, definitely.
You might say something like bonus points or something, and that's really horrible, and we shouldn't think those thoughts. But we as humans, like we joke about it, but we have such horrible thoughts go through our
Yeah.
minds all the time. And so I think that one of the keys to having a good relationship with the Lord and being like exuberant and like wanting to like dance in the street like David did.
And just
Um,
being unashamed.
yeah.
I think that's something, because even Sam's business, and he's not going to like talk about it or brag on himself, but he really like finds a lot of gospel opportunities to just like talk about the gospel with people, and that's always been something that's so hard for me. I just get really like shy,
Mm,
and Sam will make it a point to pray with people or talk about Jesus with people. His whole business name is even like about his faith. And so I just find that really inspiring that like even in your job, you revolve that around like your beliefs. And
thank
so,
you,
because
honey.
not a lot of people do that, you know, and I don't even know, I don't think my coworkers, because I obviously don't own my own business, I work for like a huge company, and I don't think that any of my coworkers are Christian at
Yeah.
all, you know,
Do you think that
and
any of your coworkers know that you're a Christian?
I know that some of them do because I've talked to some of them about it.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just such a hard thing for me to just, you know, just bring it up. And I'm sure
Yeah.
that other people that are watching are also in the same boat where you have people that struggle with it, and then you have people that don't really struggle with it, but
Hmm.
feel like they're doing a terrible job, even though they are. We can all do better, but
Hmm.
I think that's just something that I've always been really inspired by is just how bold you are in that, you know.
Well, I appreciate that, honey. I feel like I do a bad job of doing it as much as I should. I think that God gives me a lot more opportunities than the average person would. Whoop, just accidentally hit my mouse. Um, but, I think that for some people that it's going to come more naturally, and I just feel like I don't know if you guys have ever had this experience, but God really will just convict the heck out of you when you're talking to a certain person. And sometimes we do it and sometimes we don't.
Mm.
Um, like, do you know what I'm talking about? Like, have you ever talked to somebody and just felt like, wow, the Lord is really pulling me to talk to this person about? Because I feel like some people don't, like, it doesn't even cross their minds. Like,
Mm.
they don't even think, like, God is asking me to do this. And I think that if we're really in the Word more frequently and if we're really
Mhm.
consuming, like, more Christian content and
Yeah.
everything, that we'll probably look for those opportunities a whole lot more.
I think also something that just came to mind is like people obviously know that you're Christian based on even the title of your business.
Yeah.
And so that gives you, since people know you're a Christian, you are obligated to live like your life to a higher standard. Like people are naturally looking at you and going, "Let me just find one thing that's just wrong with him
Yeah.
that he's doing wrong." And
That's
so you're
scary.
just naturally held because people know that you're representing Christ, that you are being held to that standard where people are just really scrutinizing you and just trying to pinpoint any error in your life, or if you have an anger outburst or you are rude to someone or something like that, you really are being looked at that way. And
Yeah.
I think that if all of us were to make it a point that everybody knows that we're Christians at our work, that we too would feel that convicted to not get mad at if a client does this or if a patient does that, and just really be patient and really just carry the cross like we should, you know?
Yeah. And that actually brings me to an interesting topic that I find interesting. Um, there are a lot of people out there, and I'm sure that you know of them that will refer to themselves as, you know, maybe Christian musicians, like Christian rappers or
Like the
Christian.
K Love people,
Yeah,
probably.
like
Sorry, that's a
a
hot
lot of the
take.
people that you would hear on K Love.
Yeah.
Um, some of those people I feel like almost do more harm than good. And I'm not saying that there aren't good ones out
Mhm.
there. Um, but there are just so many of them that I get a really uneasy feeling about. And if you are putting on that label of I'm a Christian and I'm a
Yeah.
Christian artist, like I almost feel like so I've been a big fan of NF for a while. And even though he considers himself to be a Christian, he doesn't like put Christianity like in all of his music. And I would almost prefer to support him, even though he honestly does have some songs where like I feel like he kind of semi like crosses the boundary or like toes the line a little bit too much with like taking the Lord's name in vain. I don't
Mhm.
listen to those songs, but I
Mhm.
feel like he sometimes will do that. But I would be more tempted to support him and listen to his music
Mhm.
or even just listen to like instrumental music or music that has like a good message like a Luke Combs song. I'd be more tempted to support them than if somebody is
Claiming to be a Christian,
well,
but
and
then
not even just
not.
claiming to be a Christian, but like claiming their song as like some kind of like worship song or like a
I think you're
Christian
mainly
song.
talking about like Lauren Daigle and those types of people
Yeah,
and like
I
Lecrae
mean,
and stuff.
a lot of those kind of people. And I think that a lot of you guys probably listen to those artists and think that they're great, but I want you to try this exercise. So, like the next time that you listen to one of their songs, I want you to imagine that the lyric try to imagine that the lyrics are talking about like a person that they're in
Yeah.
love with or
Mhm.
like a friend and just imagine that. And if it doesn't fit, like obviously if he's like talking about, you know, I worship him or he is so, so awesome, great is his faithfulness, whatever.
Yeah, just count the amount of times that they say Jesus or Christ
Yeah.
versus the amount of times they say me or I
Yeah.
or you or whatever.
Yeah.
And because I've seen people do that, and it's very interesting when you go down like the Bethel route.
Yeah.
It's probably stepping on some toes. This
Well,
is this is where we're at, guys.
I have a theory. I have a theory. This might be kind of a conspiracy, but I personally believe that Satan is so in control of the music industry and who does and doesn't get popular that
Hmm.
I don't think that there is any legitimate Christian artist that can reach superstar
Oh,
status in this world. I think that
yeah.
once
I
you
mean,
ascend to a certain status in the public view, that you are not actually a champion for Christ.
mm,
That's what I believe. I believe that it's also kind of similar even for like YouTube. So like I think that in order for us like on this channel for example, like I think that if we stay on topic, if we talk about,
the
what we
hard
believe in the
stuff.
Bible about, how homosexuality is wrong, about how abortion is wrong,
Mm-hmm.
like that kind of stuff, I believe that there is only so many people that
Mm-hmm. It's
YouTube is going to
scary.
push stuff out to.
Or even like the Christians nowadays too that just fully disagree with what we believe about the Bible that have
Yeah.
gone that progressive route.
And they'll
There
call us
are,
fundamentalists,
yeah, we're called
which is
fundamentalists now.
crazy.
It's very interesting. We could really dive into this for a while.
Yeah, and we'll have to do a whole episode about it, but
Yeah.
that's my theory is that people that are really popular, whether it be in like any form of media, I think that it's because Satan for some reason wants them there. So like I think that Lauren Daigle might very well do more harm than good.
Well, she doesn't talk about the hard stuff at
Yeah.
all. Just like the preachers or the pastors
Yeah.
that have, like, what's Carl Lentz or whatever, he wouldn't talk about abortion or anything. Well, then look what came to find out, he was having an affair. And that's happened with so many people in the like progressive realm because they don't live convicted lives. And you really have to write his word on your heart, and you have to use his scripture, his words to base your claims around. If you claim to be a Christian, you have to form all of your opinions based on the Bible, and you can't just say, "Oh, well, it was just man-made because men wanted control, they wanted this. It was translated X amount of times." Like, we have to trust that that is God's word,
Mhm.
and that's what he means, and we have to live our lives according to that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Well, and to your point, just like with the pastors thing, these artists have to be so careful because like the stuff that Lauren Daigle does, like that is like considered like worship music in a lot of cases.
Mhm.
And then it's like, okay, so instead of K-Love or The Promise or whoever playing something that's like actually glorifying and edifying, that like actually worships the Lord,
Yeah.
instead you're taking up people's time talking about, I came out of this, I'm a survivor,
Mhm.
and you end up talking about things that are, positive and encouraging, like K-Love says.
Yeah, like
Eh,
where's the City of Light? I love City of Light. I
yeah.
love hymns. Like,
And
where's
yeah,
all of those songs that are truly like convicting?
yeah.
They don't play those, which is so
That
interesting.
is
And I'm
very
not saying
interesting.
Caleb's evil. Don't go all that. I personally don't listen to channels like that because I just feel like they're not. It's just like pop, summertime, happy, not convicting stuff where I feel like we don't even talk about Jesus or anything.
Yeah,
And so I listen to other stuff. I just listen to City Light, Spotify. On my phone, I've been listening to like CC Winans, I think that's how you pronounce her last name. I really have been
I like
liking her
her.
songs a
She
lot.
seems
Um,
good.
how far are we gonna just like keep talking? Should we just cut it for next week? Should we?
Yeah, I think that we've kind of stepped on enough toes maybe for one episode, and we'll kind of get y'all's feedback. What are some topics that you guys want to hear us kind of ramble on about? I think that we'll still do stuff with like some different keynotes and everything, and like some points that we want to cover. But I want
Yeah,
you guys to
definitely.
really see what we think about stuff. Like, this is just if you were to sit down and just have a conversation with us, what we would
Yeah.
say, no
Mhm.
filter. If YouTube wants to kick us off because we talk about too many controversial things, then oh well, then I guess the Lord doesn't want us to have this platform.
Yeah.
But if that's something you're interested in, then just see where this thing goes, I guess.
Yeah, do you guys like the structured stuff that we used to do? Are you chill with the podcast? I know that podcast is basically all I listen to now. I don't really
Everybody has
watch.
one too.
Yeah, I think it's way more chill because you could put the phone down. You don't have to worry about watching stuff. You could just put your phone down, do your dishes, vacuum the house, like do whatever you want to do and still just have it on in the
Hmm.
background. I think it's just way more chill vibes, which a lot of us are going for these days. Um, but yeah, if that's something you guys are interested in, definitely let us know what you want to see from us, whether that is the relationship stuff, whether that is more controversial topics for, you know, Christians, whatever you want to see.
Hmm.
We'll obviously keep you guys updated on the baby.
Yeah. And also, if you guys have like relationship related stuff, dating questions, anything like that, or if you just have like a problem in your life, like maybe
We could
maybe
have an
your
episode,
maybe
yeah.
your Aunt Susie is just really annoying you and
Who
she's
are we,
not.
Dr. Phil?
I don't know. I mean, maybe somebody is like, wanting to crash your wedding and you're like, please don't come to my wedding. And
Yeah.
like, I want to be able to diagnose what her issue is and
Yeah.
maybe we can figure out some kind of biblical way to deal with it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It'll make for an interesting episode. But
Sounds like fun.
anyway, guys, we will go ahead and stop talking and let you guys go get back to whatever productive thing you're doing. But we love every single one of you, and we will see you guys in the next video.